Howdy, howdy. So, this is going to be requirement 1, 2, and 3 for the coin collecting merit badge. A lot of this is discussion, so if you're doing this individually, you might want to write stuff down. But you can also add to this with the other scouts that are doing these requirements. Before I get into it, this is one of those merit badges where becoming a good instructor really is just time doing this. You know, you're reading about coins, you're learning stuff, and, I don't claim to be the biggest expert on everything for coin collecting, but I have been collecting coins for almost 20 years now. I think the very first time I remember, Grandpa giving me a wheat penny and explaining, the importance behind it. And, this is just kind of knowledge that you gain and, you hold on to if you continue to work at it. So the first requirement is understanding how coins are made and where the active U.S. Mint facilities are. So if you look at your coins, they're going to be stamped with a D, an S, a W. Some coins are stamped with a P, but most of the time the Philadelphia Mint does not stamp coins. If you find coins stamped with a O, those were made in New Orleans. That's not an active mint, but that's a very collectible coin. If you find coins stamped with a CC, that was the Carson City Mint. It doesn't exist anymore. Those are also very sought after coins. So the active mints are going to be Denver, San Francisco, Philadelphia, and the West Point Mint. And understanding how coins are made, my best recommendation would be going onto YouTube and typing in how coins are made. The mints have released awesome videos showing the process, but I will explain it here for you. Simply put, a coin is a piece of metal that has been heated up and, cut into your general coin shape, which for the most part is round. And that is your blank coin. They can be of various different metal types. I just think of a penny. This one happens to be a wheat penny. At one point, so this is 95% copper, 5% zinc. And it started out as a blank coin, and it went through a machine where they stamped the design into the coin. At one point in time, the coins were made, by hand. Someone would have the design, as a giant chunk of metal, and they would set it on the planchet and hit it really hard, and, your design would go into your coin. So you typically wanted a softer metal. That's why silver and gold, not just for their, ooh, this is shiny, but that is also another reason why coins were made out of those materials. Think about copper. Copper wire is something that you can, very easily bend and manipulate. Whereas, making coins out of steel, sometimes it's been done, but it's a much harder material. Makes me think of this nail here. It's a thinner nail, so it would be easier to bend, but, then you have to deal with rust and things like that. And then, explaining the following terms: obverse, reverse, reading, clad, type, and date set. So I'm going to grab some coins so that we can kind of, show off that stuff. I'm also going to get another drink of my Coke. And my cat wants to be in the video. So, the first term is obverse. That, generally speaking, is going to be the face side of the coin. So this is a 1924 silver dollar. So this has Lady Liberty. Like I said, my cat wants to be in the video. Not right now, Cinder. The obverse is going to be the head side of the coin. The reverse, or the reverse side, is going to be what you've got going on the back. A lot of American coins do something patriotic. So this one's got an eagle on it. You know, you think of the quarter. You know, even the half dollar. You know, we've got an eagle on the back. You know, here's a 1963 quarter. You know, we did this eagle on the back for a fairly long time. Or we put, you know, U.S., you know, like monuments. But again, like here's a standing Washington quarter. It's got an eagle on the back. Here's a Barber quarter. It's got an eagle. A lot of our coins have an eagle. The reading that they're talking about, which I'll grab a bigger coin to make it easier to show stuff off. Here's a $1 silver eagle. The reading is going to be the stuff on the edge. You know, you can run your thumb across it, and it's these, you know, these etchings into it. The reason why, you know, here's a little bit of history. They put those on the edge of the coins because, you know, certain denominations meant a certain amount. That's showing off a silver coin. I don't have a gold coin sitting here to show you. But, you know, if a coin says it's a $1 coin, a $20 coin, a $100 coin, they are made by the weight of the precious metal inside of them. And people back in the day would, you know, kind of shave the outside of the quarter off. Outside of the dollar. You know, think of it like peeling the potato. You know, you want to leave as much of the potato there so that you can, you know, cook it and consume it, but you're taking just that little bit off. Now, if you're doing that with something like a precious metal, you know, you say you do that on 20 coins. You've shaved enough off that you can melt that down, and now you have, you know, a fairly significant amount of money there. And so the reading was put into the coin because if it was smooth all the way around, that showed that someone was cheating you out of some money because not all of the weight that went into the coin was there anymore. Clad, that is what the coin is made out of. So pennies today are 95% zinc, 5% copper. That is its clad type. You know, a quarter from 1964 or older is going to be 90% silver. So it's considered a silver clad coin. Really, you know, the big purpose there is just knowing, you know, this is a 50-cent piece that is 90% silver. This is close to $20 in face value, or $20 in its melt value. But a 50-cent coin, you know, that's just made out of, you know, nickel and a little bit of copper, it's really only worth about 50 cents. You know, this dime here, it's a 1961 dime. Its silver value is about $5. But I would need to take, you know, 15 of these to go buy soda at the gas station. I'm not going to use anything older than 1964 to buy stuff with its face value. And then we get into type and date set. Date set is very, very simple. That is, I've, collected coins all from the same date, which I didn't grab those out of this drawer. But yeah, let me grab a couple out of the drawer. So all of these are the full coin set, and now we're getting a double reflection. I'll kind of show it off to the side, but now you're picking up the computer with the coin collecting merit badge requirements. But this is the 1987 U.S. proof set. So we've got a quarter, dime, nickel, penny, and $50. They come in this nice little container. Here's a 1997 proof set. But this one says silver. So the dime, $50, and quarter in this one are made out of 90% silver. And then you get to your type sets. U.S. coins, for a very long time, have shown, we've done a pattern of sorts. So here's a 2005 silver quarter, and we have Minnesota on the back. So for the quarter run, they did a run of all of the states, and they released them in the order that they became, joined the United States. Something better to show off, would be something like this. This is a American National Parks book. And this one is the Denver one. So, the Denver and the Philadelphia Mint. And each state got to pick one of their national parks. And, you can see I've filled in some of them. I've got the Northern Mariana Islands, the Louisiana one, the American Samoa one, Delaware, Virginia, Ohio, West Virginia, Connecticut, Idaho. And on the back, it even shows you, Arkansas did Hot Springs in 2010. So this run went from 2010 to 2021. This is going to be a typeset, and we've done it with mostly the quarters, the dollars. We've done president sets, but that's requirement 1 and 2. Come into the next video for requirement 3.